I want to share a story today, a real one about a specific hire that completely shifted how I think about building a team and leading people. Not because the story is dramatic or exceptional, but because what I learned from it is something I see agents missing all the time. And if you are in the process of building a team or thinking about it, I think what I'm going to share is going to save you a lot of frustration, a lot of wasted time, and potentially a lot of money. And if you're building a team, it's something that you're actively thinking about it and you want real strategic support in how to do it right, go to Top Agent with Fact and book a strategy call with me. We will map out exactly what your next step looks like. Now, let me tell you this story. Before I tell you what the thing, before I tell you the hire that changed things, I need to be honest about what I'm doing before because I think it's going to sound very familiar. When I first started growing and realized I needed support, I did what most agents do. I hire for relief. I was overwhelmed, I was maxed out, I needed someone to take things off my plate immediately. So I found someone who seemed capable. I gave them a list of tasks and I hoped for the best. There was not a clear definition of the role. There was no documentation process of how things should be done. There was no real onboarding, just needed help and needed help fast. And the result was exactly what you expect. Things got done, but not quite right, not kind of how I wanted. There were constant questions about same things because nothing was written down clearly. I found myself redoing the work or correcting mistakes that would have been avoided with a better setup. And I end up hovering over tasks that were supposed to be off my plate. And instead of feeling more free, I actually felt more stressed because now I had someone else's performance to manage on top of everything else. Eventually, I had to be honest with myself. The problem was not the person I hired. The problem was how I hired them and how I set them up. I was hiring to solve my immediate pain and I was not hiring to build something. And those two things lead to completely different outcomes. And here is what I want you to ask yourself. When you're thinking about, the hires you may need here in the future, or the hires you made in the past, or the hires you're considering, are you hiring to relieve pressure? Are you hiring to build capacity? Because the answer shapes everything. So, what changed? The hire that shifted everything for me was the first person I brought on where I actually invested in the setup, not just the selection. I slowed down before we actually started. I got clear on what the role actually needed to accomplish, not just this task that it needed to get done, but what the outcomes this person needed to own 6 months from now. I created real training. I explained the vision behind what we're rebuilding, not just the task list. I checked in regularly, not just on the work, but whether they had what they needed to do the work well. And what happened surprised me. They did not just complete the task, they started improving the processes behind those tasks. They would come to me and say, "Hey, I noticed we could do this more efficiently if we change this one step." They took ownership in a way I had not experienced with previous hires. They made me better at my job because the quality of the questions forced me to think more clearly about my own systems. The right person in the right role with the right setup does not just help you, they multiply your impact. And I have thought a lot about this, about hiring. Was it different from the ones I did before? And it comes down to three things that now I look for in every single hire. The first thing is align values, not just skill, but values. Skills can be learned, values cannot be installed. I need to know that that person I am bringing into my business cares about the same things I do: excellence, ownership, problem solving, integrity. Those are values. If those values are not there, not the amount of skill or training makes up for it. The interview process now always include real conversations about how they handle hard situations. How do they Um, when they make a mistake, how do they treat people when no one is watching? The second is clarity on the role. Before I bring anyone on, I get specific about the success looks like in that role. 12 weeks from now, not a list of tasks, a picture of the outcome. If this person is doing their job well, what specific things are happening in my business that would not happen without them? That clarity shapes who I hire, how I onboard, and how I evaluate performance. And the third is capacity to grow. I am not filling a position. I am building something over time. And I want to bring on people who wants to grow with that. And I want to hire people that wants to grow with what I'm building, not just collect a paycheck alongside the way. And that changes the quality of conversations in interviews, the energy someone brings to the role, and the trajectory of the relationship. So here is the action step before you take the next hire. Write down 3 things, the specific outcomes this person needs to own. Not the task outcome, but 2 or 3 values that are non-negotiable for anyone who joins your team. What our growth looks like in this role over the next year. That exercise alone will completely change who you attract and how you show up as a leader in the hiring process. And if you want to build your team with strategic thinking behind every decision, go to topagentwithfact.com, book that call. This is how